I'm Andrea Grant, and you're watching Invest Comics TV.
Okay, we are here today with Invest Comics TV. We are joined by Mr. Tim Seeley of
Hello.
Hack and Slash.
That's me.
And I know you've got a couple other enterprises that you've worked on in the past. Why don't you tell us first about Hack and Slash, and then we'll move on to what else you got going on.
Hack Slash is a book I started. It's almost 6 years ago now, but it's a horror comic that's sort of set in the world of the sort of slasher movie, B-movie horror kind of stuff. It stars a character named Cassie Hack, who's a girl who kind of survived the slasher movie typical scenario. You know, the killer came after her and chased all his kids, and she was the last survivor. In this case, the killer was her mom, and she kind of uses all those skills that she learned, taking down this one slasher to chase down the other sort of horror movie style killer. So it's kind of it's a horror comic, but it's a little bit lighthearted in spots. Lots of sexy girl in underpants kind of stuff, and teens running and screaming, and it's a good time, fun book. And we're published by Image Comics, which is pretty cool.
I think you have a knack for making cartoon or comic book characters look appealing, and you've adapted that to several other characters within the book. You want to tell us about some of because you've got a couple of recurring characters besides Cassie, right?
Yeah, Cassie's the star of the book, and she has a partner named Vlad, who is not super sexy or appealing. He's kind of a big monster guy with a head shaped kind of like a butt. But he's her sidekick. He wears a big gas mask. It's kind of like a good guy version of like a Jason Voorhees kind of character. But one of the things that we really wanted to do, whether it was me drawing it or whether it was someone else, was to keep it sexy and keep it fun, because it's part of those slasher movie things. And I kind of grew up always drawing girls and learned how to draw girls kind of before I drew anything. So whether that's good or bad, or it's open for debate. But that's one thing about the character. She should be sexy, but she's more of a realistic girl. I think she has to be to sort of be the kind of heroine that female readers relate to and stuff too. So
right,
and that the dudes want to buy multiple covers of because she's hot. It has to be a little bit of both. So it's this weird thing that I had another publisher called Devil's Due Publishing, and that was kind of one of their things, was to always do two covers. And then I kind of, once we restarted Image, I thought, I could do this I could just do one cover. That'd be great. But then I got really afraid that retailers would go, comic book stores would go, I'll just order half for the last time. I'm like, shit. So I'm stuck doing two covers for a while. But on the other side, it allows me to, I get to draw one, and then I kind of hire people I want to see draw Cassie and Vlad. So it actually works out okay, if only, to be a sort of, because I can really be experimental with that other cover. I can call any of my buddies, somebody who draws, weird little, cartoon style or anime style or whatever the style, I can use it. I can be really, experiment with it. So it's worked out okay. I wish we could just do one, but, I'm too scared. I'm just not brave enough.
Well, stick with what works for you, right?
Yep, exactly.
So now you've, if I read it correctly, you've worked on a couple other projects in the past, or did I misread that?
Oh no, I've been working in comics full time since 2003. So yeah, I've done, I draw. That's basically my day job, is drawing. So I draw for Marvel and DC, and I've drawn for everybody. And then Hack Slash kind of became like a sort of part-time job that occasionally becomes a full-time job, but and I write that mostly, and I draw the covers, but I work with another artist, especially in the current series, with a guy named Dan Leister, who draws from my script. So, but yeah, I worked on G.I. Joe and Ant-Man and Dungeons and Dragons and the Halloween series of comics, and I've drawn everything, man. X-Men stuff, So I keep busy, but but I think hack slash is kind of what, because it's something I've stuck with for so long. It's kind of what you get. It's kind of what I got known for, I guess, because it's always got my damn name on it. Every issue for 6 years.
So I'm guessing that hack and slash becomes a full-time job right up before the deadline.
Yeah, exactly. It becomes a full-time job on weekends and nights and stuff. But it's great to have something, especially when you work freelance, where you don't always know what you're working on next, and sometimes they're jobs that you really want to do, and sometimes they aren't. But to have hack slash, which I can always come back to, it's kind of it's the old reliable. It's
your signature.
Yeah, and we're really lucky because we have some, pretty dedicated readers, and they seem to allow me to do whatever screwed up stuff I come up with, which I totally appreciate, because I think it's tough sometimes when you're doing a book for a long time to keep yourself interested in it and to keep your readers interested in it, because a lot of times what I find it entertaining is not what everyone else finds entertaining, but so far it's worked out okay.
Okay, well, we're going to take just a little bitty short break here. And when we come back, I want to ask you a little bit about some style stuff. Okay?
Sure.
All systems are functional.
And get past the range to Mr. Jackal, the new king of radio.
Is there life on other planets?
This is nuclear physicist Stanton Friedman, and now I'm a voice in the Jackal's head.
Is the government keeping secrets from us?
This is Stephen Bassett, and I am now a voice inside the Jackal's head.
Want to find out more? Listen to the Jackal's Head on the Super Media Network.
The biggest trick the Jackal ever pulled was to convince the world that he doesn't exist.
And we're back in Best Comics TV. We're back with Tim Seeley of Hack and Slash. And Tim, I wanted to get into just a little bit of some style questions. Now, this is just an observation from an outside guy who has no preferred genre, or I'm just a fan of artists. And I've got to say that what I have observed is you take these totally submissive females and you put swords and stuff in their hands, and they still look submissive, but they're hacking people to death. How do you manage that?
That's an interesting question. I don't think anyone's ever actually pointed that out. I think part of the appeal, especially of horror movies and stuff, always used to be that the victim character, the female victim, was both someone that everyone related to as sort of the victim, and then was also sort of someone that you were you either rooted against, or because you identified with the killer character, or that you sort of were attracted to. So in those films, like, that one character has to sort of be submissive, badass, and sexy. Cheesecake is really fun in horror stuff. It's really fun in comics. And I think that's one of the appeals of sort of the kind of people who read horror comics. So yeah, there's definitely always an effort to make her be a lot of different things, I think. And it's especially in with covers, especially, I think that's what people tend to notice the most. You've got to sell it on kind of multiple levels. And that is that's a good observation, that she has to be submissive and badass and victim and killer and all these sort of things at one time, which I've done it so many times I guess I don't even think about it as much anymore, but there's definitely some of that going into those images.
Well, it's an art unto itself. I mean, I go back, of course, I've been reading comics, not doing comics, not creating them, but being a fan of comics for 50 plus years. I'm not going to say much more than that. But the style. You
don't look a day over 40, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. The styles of people going back to, well, basically Jack Kirby, Neil Adams, when I started reading comics. They were, of course, Neil was brand new at it when I started reading comics, but nevertheless, which, wow, that really says a lot. Anyway, the individual styles are recognizable as you go through the history of comics. You go through 50 years of comics, you can see these people wax and wane and move and change companies, sometimes work for both companies or multiple companies at once. and it's like, oh, that's so-and-so's work. Even though his name's not in the credits, you know it's his work. And Cassie's going to be recognizable for a very, very long time. Even if you're drawing Thor, your style will show through and be recognizable through your work with Cassie.
Well, one thing I wish I remember who said it, but somebody described your style, your art style, as being everything you do wrong. So, if a photo is absolute and, correct, then everything you do that's not photo is your style. So, Kirby wanted things to be big and dynamic, so you got big, huge fists and big black shapes and stuff like that. And I think Neil Adams, was trying to portray sort of the action but more realistic look. So yeah, there's a lot to be said sort of about the way some art styles are accidental and some are completely studied. And I mean, in my case, I think it's just it comes from a combination of having to get it done in a certain amount of time, and but still wanting to make it look like the kind of art you like. So based on the fact that I can't spend 6 months on a page, that means there's certain things that I've streamlined to, pull off. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that I work with, in studio, and I watch them draw, and it's just totally educational to see someone else maybe even, solve the same problem with a completely different approach. So, I think there's guys who kind of get known for drawing girls a certain way, and I can live with being that guy. I mean, it hasn't done anything too bad for Adam Hughes or Frank Cho or anybody else. So,
true.
If that shall be what I am, then it shall be.
Well, if nothing else, you can always get a job painting girls on airplanes. Well, speaking of gorgeous girls, where's Cassie going? I mean, you've got her in and out of various situations in 6 years. Got anything spectacular in mind?
Yeah, we're starting a new ongoing series at Image in February, which we were publishing the book at Devil's Due, and they sort of had some financial difficulties, which meant we had to decide, because we could still do the book, we were still doing well sales-wise, but it was just taking longer and longer for people to get paid and all this stuff. So Devil's Due let us take it to Image Comics because it's a creator-owned book. But it wasn't exactly where I would have stopped one book and started another. It was just it was a whole bunch of factors that made us have to do that. So we're starting in a new ongoing after we did a sort of like introductory, jump on point for new readers. And the new series will kind of be able to, if I do it right, it'll be a story that, links the entire old series to a new thing, but you don't have to have read anything else, which is, the hardest part about doing serialized ongoing fiction is that you have this continuity baggage, basically, but it's also the reason to do this stuff, But I think we're going to do it pretty well. We're going to open with a really big story that, will involve a whole bunch of her enemies from the past and some new ones and all their allies. It'll be like our sort of, Secret Wars or whatever, because it'll have everybody we've sort of introduced before and yet be totally accessible.
Spending some time with us, and I'll certainly look forward to doing this again. Probably, you said it was coming out in February, correct?
Yep, February 9th is our date. I hope we make it. So, yeah, should be February 9th, right before Valentine's Day. It'll be lovely.
I'll bet. Well, we'll get back with you later in the year, see how you're doing, and see where it's going from there.
All right, thanks, man. Good to meet you, Rick.
Here's a riddle for you. What do the California gold rush of the 1850s, secret societies, coded messages, mysterious 19th century flying machines, and an early 20th century outside artist named Charles A.A. Delshaw all have in common? The Secrets of Delshaw by Dennis Crenshaw and Pete Navarro. Go to www.secretsofdelshaw.com to learn more.